The Unbroken Place podcast with Eddie Paul Thomas is a production of Say Something Studios. What if the clarity you've been searching for isn't out there, but already within you? I'm Eddie Paul Thomas, life and leadership coach. I work with purpose-driven people who are ready to lead boldly, live intentionally, and grow from the inside out. Whether you're at a crossroads or leveling up, coaching can help you move with confidence, wisdom, and impact. This is your time. Visit eddiepaulthomas.com to get started. In today's fast-moving world, thriving teams and ethical leadership are essential to business success. So how do entrepreneurs build spaces where people flourish while scaling up? At Elevate One Consulting, Dr. Erica Garcia Thomas and Eddie Paul Thomas are helping organizations grow with purpose. Blending evidence-based strategies, interactive training, and dynamic speaking, they equip leaders to boost engagement, transform culture, and drive results. From executive advising to brand revitalization, Elevate One delivers solutions that help your business do more than survive. It thrives. Visit elevateoneconsulting.com to get started. Elevate One Consulting. Innovate, grow, elevate. Imagine a place where the untold stories of Black missionaries are amplified, honored, and celebrated. A place that bridges the legacy of the people of the way with the powerful missions work of today's African diaspora. Welcome to the Black Missions Museum, a digital project dedicated to preserving the voices, culture, and legacy of Black missionaries across the globe. But we need your help to bring this vision to life. Your support makes a difference. Join us in this mission by donating today. Just click the link in the show notes to give and be a part of history. Together, we can inspire future generations and keep the legacy alive. Back to the Unbroken Place, where it begins and ends with empathy. I am your host, Eddie Paul Thomas, life and leadership coach, and welcome to today's micropod. I'm so glad you're here. If this is your first time joining us on the podcast, know that we keep a list of resources in the show notes. And to help the community continue to grow, please subscribe, like, and share. Equally, this is something in which we hope you can participate, so feel free to reach out. We'd love to hear from you. You can do that anytime at hello@eddiepaulthomas.com. Today's show, we are really focusing on something that has come up quite a bit for me in a lot of conversations, especially heading into 2026 and really trying to figure out how to deal with this new reality that we're all living in. And the focus of today's podcast is learning to focus on things that you can control. A while back, I wrote an article for OK on Second Thought. That's my LinkedIn newsletter and blog. And the title of it was Caring More Than We Were Ever Meant to Hold. And if you look at, I looked at a couple of things within the article, one of which was from JMIR Mental Health. They found that excessive social media use, especially when it exposes users to distressing content, was significantly associated with higher levels of depression and anxiety among adults age 18 to 65. And, the number of responses I got from that article told me that this is worth the conversation. This isn't just something that is, that we can just kind of discuss and put it to the side. This is really more so about developing some daily habits to, feel a little more secure in our own skin. Also gives us an opportunity to think about different ways or strategies in which we can start to develop for ourselves to not just take care of ourselves, but also realize that in taking care of ourselves, we can do a much better job of taking care of those that we care around us. So really what I'd like to do is unpack three things that you could try and focus on as we head into 2026 for taking a little bit better care of yourself? In terms of focusing on those things that you can control. And the first of which would be where we place our attention. Now, it sounds fairly simple, but think about this. Your attention is a limited resource. We decide whether it goes towards fear and noise or toward clarity, growth, and what strengthens us. And, again, it's really a matter of taking a moment, taking a breath, and recognizing within your world, can you control the war that's going on thousands of miles away? No. Can you control the price of things that is skyrocketing for all of us? No. So it's more so about looking at, being accepting of the things that are actually in our control. And so I'll give you an example for me. The number of things that I was seeing on social media personally were starting to stress me out. And I noticed how I came into a room or came into a meeting with a client, um, and it had literally nothing to do with the client that was there. They were wonderful, but what they were trying to accomplish was amazing. But me coming in as a consultant, I was a little off that day. And I took a minute at the end of the day and looked at how often I was on social media. I was on way too much. Now, obviously, when you do what I do as a coach and consultant, you have to be on social media for work. But how much more did I need to be on there? So, one of the things that I did to gain a little bit more control for myself was I took social media off of my phone and I put it on my iPad and also had access to it on my laptop. So, think about that. All the notifications, all the little push notifications that I would get when a story erupted or a friend had a funny comment or, some trend was going on TikTok. All of those things were put to the side and I would get to them when it was convenient for me as opposed to them drawing me in, me getting that little dopamine hit because I just got a like. I put that to the side and let it be something that I go to in the middle of the day or in the evening. And I noticed also when I looked at my phone usage at the end of the day, it was much lower. So the stressors, the notifications that I would get from social media were problematic for me. And I think that, in terms of listening to the needs of clients and what they're telling me, it's also a problem for them. And so my suggestion after figuring that out earlier this year was to do that encourage others to do that for themselves as well. Another thing that I told them, and this is social media, not social media related, but it is cell phone related, is taking the push notifications off. It doesn't matter if it's email, doesn't matter if it's text messages, what have you. All of those things are off. And so my attention when I'm with my 10-year-old who is putting on her, little song and dance for me or creating something in her art studio, or when I'm talking with my wife, or even when I'm at dinner, putting that cell phone away so that my attention is on my family, those notifications aren't going off for emails and texts and all that stuff. I look at them when I want to, and that reduced my stress level. The last thing that I would hope all of us could consider at some point is this. We have to learn how to resist the narrative that we must have something to say or statement to make on everything. You are no less the activist. You are no less important. You are no less of a person or human being because you haven't made a statement on the latest travesty that's going on in the world or uh, the latest political person who's had something to say that's gotten under your skin. Most likely, you're shouting into the void. And with the way the algorithm is sitting on social media anyway, unless you happen to have couple million followers, they're not going to see it. So think about that in terms of the things that you can control in this time. And social media would be one. The next, I would say, in terms of just recognizing what we can control in the moment, is something that has to do with our relationships. And in our relationships, one of the things that I've noticed that we do as human beings is we delay repairing harm when we cause it. Some of that has to do with pride. Some of that has to do with our inability to communicate. Maybe we didn't listen to someone as well as we needed to, but I am not here to critique your receiving of information. We can talk about active listening and other skills to develop along the way. But right now, what I'm talking about mainly is when you recognize we all make mistakes. That is the human condition. We cannot avoid mistakes. We can control how quickly and honestly we apologize, learn, and rebuild trust. It is incredibly important for us to remember how important relationships are in this time. It really helps us, when you think about it, it helps us to not only build community, but maintain the community, which is so important, especially when we are dealing with so many crises. The last thing that I would say really is about looking into yourself and recognizing, I've said this millions of times, whether it be in for-profit, nonprofit, ministry, independence is a myth. It's an absolute myth. Growth happens when we choose connection instead of isolation. There's this mentality that we've all grown up on. We've heard it everywhere, from history books to TV shows to movies to, the songs that we listen to that glorify independence and really tries to set aside mentally that we're supposed to be in community with one another. And so as we wrap up today's micropod, my call to growth for you today would be to choose one of those three and begin working on them right away. Now, one of the easier ones, I know that, as you look at those three, two of them can be pretty deep. But one, you have absolute control over right now in this moment. Where you place your attention. That's one. How we repair harm when we cause it. That's number two. Number three, be willing to ask for help. Work on one of those three for yourself and see where it takes you leading into 2026. I hope you found this helpful. Looking forward to seeing you next time. The Unbroken Place podcast is presented by Elevate One Consulting. The show is produced by Say Something Studios. Learn more about both of these in the show notes. The show's music is performed by Kesta, Anthem of Rain, and Holzna Raps. Thank you for being a part of the Unbroken Place community. Look for an ongoing conversation on TikTok, YouTube, and LinkedIn. You can also find some helpful resources at eddiepaulthomas.com. And make sure to sign up for our newsletter called OK on Second Thought on LinkedIn. Until next time, one love. Say Something Studios.